So I need to know because I just got done doing Pay Dirt, and we started a Pay Dirt show off talking about food. So I'm gonna start running through the jungle the same way. Justin, just back in from New York City. What was the best thing you ate when you were there?
Man, there's a litany of things that they had that I really enjoyed. Obviously, New York is known for a number of things, but primarily their pizza, their big, large slices of pizza that you can get really on any corner that you go in New York. Um, I'm just going to stick with that. I liked the New York style pizza. Yeah, I didn't like the cost of anything in New York. It was expensive, and I thought at times like, man, this is kind of overrated. But to their culture, it's pretty neat. I actually like that. I like the food there.
So, did you do the hot dog cart hot dog?
No, that's the thing that people told me to stay away from the most. And they were all over the corner in Manhattan, Times Square. They're everywhere. People go to them like it's nothing, but they tell you, man, you don't want to go to one of those fruit stands or hot dog stands when you're in New York.
Oh, I went straight to one of those hot dog stands. Destroyed that place.
I so
Loved it.
I so badly wanted to like do it just because the food was smelling good from those hot dog carts. We don't get a lot of them here in Cincinnati. We got a couple that's populated throughout downtown, but our downtown metropolitan area is not as big as Midtown Manhattan. Let's call it that. And it just feels like that. I can understand why some people will say like, you don't want to eat off the streets of New York. It's not going to be as clean or friendly. But then other people be like, dude, if you're from the streets or you don't have no care or preference, you can get some real good street food from there. So I can see it, but I just chose to be safe and just stay away from it.
I'm a very adventurous eater. Let's just say it that way. I wouldn't even. I've had food poisoning multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to take some risks in your life, man.
Yeah. You know, hey,
Worth it.
Don't forget, New York was one of the first cities that really expanded from the coronavirus in 2020 that started all of it. So I didn't want to take no chances with that.
I'm out there taking chances. Katz's Deli is a must. Got to hit it up.
Yeah, so many spaces, so many places. Like I got a recommendation for a couple of foods, like pizza joints. I mean, like I said, when you have one, it's like New York, like Philly cheesesteaks in Philly. If you go to one joint, you've been to all of them, but there's just ones that people rank as top notch above all else. New York was kind of the same thing, but for the most part, the concept is the same. So, yeah.
You can get a lot of good pizza. That's enough. That's enough talking about it. I haven't eaten yet. We're going to have to get this show started so we can get out of here so I can get some grub. All right, you have caught up with us at Running Through the Jungle. I am your host, Brandon Herriott, with your host, Justin Lacey and Tim Lyons. What's going on, fellas?
What I do?
Ooh, we live and we ready to kick back. It's good to have the three of us on this show again. You know, the week prior to before I went on vacation, it was me and Tim holding it down. And then last week when I was out, you guys held it down. So it's cool to have the three of us, the three amigos again. So I'm pretty excited for today.
Summer vacation is over and meaningful football is right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to
2 weeks away. 2 more weeks.
Right here before we get going, hit that like and subscribe so you can get the notifications when we go live. And you know, we're your number one stop for Bengals news, AFC North news, AFC, NFL. We talk about it all because we have aspirations now for all of it to matter to us. It's no longer worrying about just who's in our division or worrying just about our team. Other teams affect us and where our final goal is. So I want to keep that in mind as we start talking about some of the stuff going through the season. But yeah, we're gonna keep it, Bengals focus for the most point here. We did not have a roaring reactions to the Chicago game because of summer vacations and traveling and so on and so forth weren't available. So we owe you a little bit of our takeaways from the Bears game. I will start by saying this. As you can see in the banner, if you're watching this on YouTube, Bengals lose the Bears 27-3. What's the RTTJ reaction? My first reaction is I don't care about scores in preseason games. From there, I'll send it over to Justin. Let's knock that rust off of you right away, and we'll set you up first, my man. What do you got to say about this Bears game?
Yeah, no, for sure. It was cool to catch the game at the beginning, I would say. When the second string defense and offense was out there. And then afterwards, I just was like, all right, I saw what I needed to see. I don't care what else happens when they started rotating in their third guys and stuff. I was like, I don't even care. I know what social media and the national media wants you to think. And they want you to project these highlight reels that Caleb Williams made, the big bomb throw, off-script, off-platform throw to Roma Dunze. It was an impressive throw, I will admit. But that was at the point of time that after they're coming off their third straight 3-and-out, and even though they had a scoring drive before with the field goal, it was off the basis of a pass interference play that was not even a real good pass interference call. And yet they still couldn't even punch it in the end zone from there. And it was like they needed to get one more opportunity just to kind of make sure that they're filling themselves while they still got their starters out there, because the Bengals are now ordering third and fourth string guys. And they still couldn't even do anything. So as impressive as that one throw was, and then him scrambling on and running, as that particular play was, it meant absolutely nothing to me. But you know how social media reacts when they see stuff from Caleb Williams, because he's the number one overall pick. He's the one that's going to get the attention. Everybody's going to talk him all up a pedestal. And I think he's going to be a pretty damn good quarterback. But he didn't see nothing that we already know we can see. And it was just the misleading aspect of these highlights are just dangerous. You're playing a dangerous game. So, I mean, after that point, I was just like, I don't care what happens the rest of the time being. They got stumped with Tyson Bagent in there, and we got guys that we just got reserved that's probably not even going to be on the team moving forward. Who cares at that point, even if the score looked lopsided? But I will say thank you, Evan McPherson, because it's something about getting shut out just that don't sit right with me, even in a preseason game. But when Evan McPherson drew that 54-yard field goal, I was like, okay, I feel better now.
Yeah, you do want him to get on. I mean,
especially because he signed his contract. So, I mean, yeah, good way to kind of start it off with your contract where you make a 54-yard field goal in the preseason after you signed that deal. So it was cool.
I do want to congratulate those guys on beating Rocky Lombardi. Tim Lyons, what's your takeaway about this Bears game? I'm not sure if you saw me on the know-it-alls spewing all kinds of statistics in the chat, but I'm armed and dangerous with those right now because I got some things to say. But I'm gonna let you get in here.
Yeah, like Justin said, there wasn't nothing exciting going on. We had a good couple defensive stops against Caleb Williams. Chris Jenkins got a sack on Caleb. Offensive wise, Matt Lee and Kirkland looked good on the offensive line. Trying to think, what else did I have? Money Mack with the 55-yard field or 54-yard field goal was good. The offense kind of looked kind of sloppy, believe it or not. Burton really wasn't involved. I noticed that as well. He did have some kick returns or whatever, and he had a punt. I believe he fumbled it. I can't remember. I can't recall. But other than that, Josh Newton looked good against DJ Moore. But then he got beat by Pettis in the PI. So, but other than that, like I said, I really don't have very much. It was, all this hype over Caleb. It's just like, this is all that I'm hearing. I'm a Notre Dame fan. I've watched Caleb Williams when he played for USC. I'm sorry, but I'm not impressed because honestly, if you're out there with your first stringers against our second, third, fourth, whoever we decided to put in there during those, those 3 or 4 defensive stance that we had against him, you should have been out there slicing and dicing us. If you're as good as as all these Bears fans are hoping, and I know Bears fans have had it rough. They were having our 1990s Bengals, life like we dealt with in the 90s with the Bengals. The Bears have pretty much dealt with that their whole time too. And now they have Caleb Williams. I hope he works out for you guys. I really do. But I know how Caleb Williams plays. Like I said, he should have torched our second, third stringers, whatever, in those drives. And he literally put up maybe 3 points. The touchdown, that was gift wrapped to you by that bull crap PI. But hey,
well, it was the first one. I'll let you go, Brandon, quick, but
yeah.
The first one, the 3 points was from the DPI call. That was stupid. Then the touchdown, then that's where it led to that big pass play or whatnot. Either way, to your point, I get it. And the thing is, I was up in arms and just about like getting kind of annoyed with the hype. But we also got to remember, just like what you said, Bears fans, they waited for a long time for this. They never had a 4,000-yard passer in their franchise history. And they're just excited. They're excited. My whole Twitter feed was basically nothing but people just talking up Bears and the Broncos with Bo Nix. So they're excited that they've been in quarterback droughts for a long time. They're finally getting some answers.
I totally understand. Listen, I totally understand the Bears, especially never having a 4,000-yard passer, getting excited about what could be with Caleb Williams. But I mean, I may get in trouble for this. I'm not sure. But I'm going to show you some reactions here from ESPN for those of you that are on YouTube. Can't play this with sound, but just look at some of the reactions of these guys talking about Caleb Williams. It bonkers, absolutely bonkers. Caleb Williams, I agree with you, Justin. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. One thing that we've known his entire college career is this: he's very exciting. When plays break down, he does exciting things. He throws the ball very pretty. As far as when he throws spirals at the ball rolling out to his left and throwing off balance, it looked gorgeous, right? Big play, looked gorgeous. Yeah. But I mean, again, started against our second string defense, played no starters, none. You can't run around like that if you've got Trey Hendrickson running after you.
Right. Guys like Cedric Johnson was falling to the turf and wasn't even really getting back up to even apply more pressure to continue to play. Yeah. So you're right. So,
and Dax Hill and DJ Turner were both taken out because of field conditions, because Zach was like, no.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to let him play no more. Go ahead.
Against our number twos, Chicago started 3 straight 3-and-outs. They didn't make any noise until our 3s and 4s were in the game.
Yep.
And his stats for the game: 6 for 13, 75 yards. Granted, 43 of those yards were on kind of a Hail Mary. Who Josh Newton was in pretty good. He was in pretty good coverage on that. Odunze made a very good catch. Congratulations. But that's 75 yards, a 64.8 passer rating, 5.7 yards per attempt. 5.7 yards per attempt would have had him last in the league last year, FYI. And 64.8 passer rating would have had him 51st last year, right behind Bailey Zappi. And yet, I got to listen to all these guys talk about him having a 64.8 passer rating against third and fourth string defense from the Bengals. What are we talking about, man? Pump the brakes.
Yeah.
Did he make some good athletic plays and throws? Yes. That's never been the problem or the question with him. We know he's going to do that. The questions we had with him getting drafted and coming into the league, how would he handle adversity? Because last year he didn't seem to handle it very well with USC.
Mm-hmm.
And can he take the check down, make the smart play, and do the monotonous things at a very high level? I still don't know that about Caleb Williams, so I'm not ready to anoint him yet.
This is the last point that I'll make, and we can move on unless you guys have any other points. But he looked better against Buffalo preseason week 1 when he had shorter time action than against the Bengals when he had a whole half of action. That right there should already tell you that week to week basis he wasn't really consistent.
In that first week?
He had
crazy.
He had a little bit more complete, like he had a little bit more, consistency in this game when he played against the Bills week 1. And again, it wasn't against all of the Bill starters neither, but at the end of the day, like he didn't look that on the week to week basis. It just showed a lot of inconsistency when you apply the real what happened on the field kind of thing instead of just throwing highlight plays and stuff.
AA, yes, we are very excited for the Bengals versus the Colts tomorrow. We appreciate you dropping in. I know you're busy. AA's in here almost every week, and we appreciate that from you. But we've talked about Caleb Williams way too long.
Yeah. This is a Bengals show, but we had to add some context.
But while I'm angry, let's just go ahead and stay angry. Our boy Ocho Cinco made some comments and some noise about Jamar Chase and his situation. We'll flip that around. Tim, you want to start this one off? What was your takeaways from Mr. Ocho Cinco?
Ocho Cinco, I love that guy. Like I've said it before, I'm not going to say it again because I think I've said it like 6 times now since we've been on this show. But I think Ocho knows maybe more than what we know because he's still involved in all kinds of different things. I hope he's right. I really do. I hope he's right that Jamar does sign this week.
He did say they're going to get it done this week. And he said, when asked like how, he said, I just know it. That's all he said.
Well, I hope he's right. I really do. I hope he's right. I
hope he's right about that, because the other thing he says, if they don't sign him, he ain't playing.
Right. And I did see, according to reports, ESPN 1530, they're saying that Jamar and his representatives are seeking a contract extension that will span 4 years, $160 million, where approximately $120 million would be guaranteed. So if you do the math,
that's 40.
Right. So you do the math, it's 40
guaranteed.
But for the but you got to remember, we got to add on this year and next year, or would it be this year? Would it be this year and then his contract? Anyway,
he has 2 more years left on his deal. Could they pick up the 5th-year option?
You pick up the 5th-year option.
Okay,
yeah.
So
technically it's a 6-year deal. Technically projecting.
Yeah. So with the 6-year deal, you're looking at about him getting about $29 million a year. Is what it
31.87. If we want to get the exact numbers, that's with the guarantees that he has total. But I saw that too. What you're saying?
Yeah. So between 29 to 32 a year, and I really hope that we do get this deal done. I really do. I understand that he wants more money and the time frame that he's doing in that, and like Justin Jefferson, he waited until after his rookie contract was over with. There's nothing in, the contracts that say that they have to wait until that contract's over with to ask for a new contract. There's nothing in there, So until that is, it'll probably never happen. But until then, we are stuck in a rock and a hard place right now. And with Jamar being not on the field with Joe Burrow, I believe it's frustrating Joe. But that's another conversation later on. But I did want to bring up one more thing. I know we're already talking about Jamar Chase. So on Bleacher Report, some idiot posted on Bleacher Report that trade packages for Jamar Chase.
Woohoo!
What
are we getting?
Like, Well, the two of the teams that he had trade packages for, one was with the Cleveland Browns.
Oh
The
yeah.
other, the other one was with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Uh-huh.
Like,
We like to trade with those guys.
we like what the hell did these guys? And I know I'm ranting here, and I do this not very often, but what the hell are these writers doing? Are they that bored? Like, they do the same crap with CD Lamb, coming up with these trade packages, and Brandon Ayuk, and trying to get all this stuff, this clickbait and all this other BS for. But at least have some kind of common sense when you're thinking of trade packages. Like, why the hell would the Cincinnati Bengals trade with AFC North rivals? Like, are you that dumb? Like, you shouldn't even be able to write with Bleacher on Bleacher anymore, period.
That's
But
pretty
anyways, I'll shut up.
That's pretty bad. Justin, what's your take on the comments from Ocho Cinco?
All right. So brace yourself, because I'm going to cook a little bit, but not going to be for an extensive period of time. But I'm going to try to contextualize a number of things. I'm going to start with the Ocho comments, because I didn't really hear the full crux of the video that Ocho put out there with Adam Schefter, but I do know the footnotes. I'm not taking anything that Ocho says with any sort of seriousness. I don't buy a word of it until it actually happens. And the reason why I have that stance is simple. You got to understand Chad Johnson and who he was as a player, and how it basically just have this attitude and the charisma now during his retirement, and he's doing his post-media tour careers. Chad was the same guy that in the 2006 Pro Bowl stated in an interview with Carson Palmer, before Carson Palmer even knew about it, I believe, stated that after Carson Palmer won Pro Bowl MVP honors, and he get a car as one of the rewards, Chad was the same person that said that Carson promised that I could have that whip, so I got a brand new car to drive off of. And he talked like he was dead ass serious. And then panned the camera to Carson, and they did an interview with him, and he said, Chad is definitely not getting that car, but I expect Chad to say stuff like that. This is Chad trying to pull off the Houdini act of just what he did back in 2003, and he guaranteed that the Bengals will beat the undefeated Chiefs. And he's trying to, write it into existence, speaking into existence now, like, oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Because if it don't happen, then he's not going to see the field. I'm not buying a word of it. I love you, Chad. You're one of my favorite Bengals. You're one of a lot of people's favorite Bengals of all time. But you don't have any sources here that's credible either. Because even though you're connected and directly tied to the organization, they're not going to share secrets with you just because you're a former player. Because if that was the case, then people like Corey Dillon, people like Willie Anderson, people like Anthony Munoz will get way more insight on the Bengals front office operation more than Chad. Let's just call it what it is. They don't do business that way because they know how stuff leaks. And to the ESPN 1530, I think the reporter was Richard Skinner, that said that he heard that deal, that projected deal that Jamar, his camp, was offering, was seeking, I should say. I buy some stock into that, because local reporters, they have to do some insight and they have to do some digging. But also, Jamar Chase have done a really good job of not basically just shelling out his frustration or just any information. Now, it might be come to subdue to the fact that somebody in his camp may have probably hinted at something, but Jamar himself did not do that to put gravitational attention towards this holding that he's been on. But I will say this, and this is the last thing I'll say on this subject. This Jamar Chase situation is becoming a problem in my mind. It has reached to that point to me. Whereas weeks before, when it started being a thing, he just wasn't practicing, and everybody kept bringing it to my attention like, oh, well, what do you think about him not practicing? And I just kept sitting, was like, oh, it is what it is. He's still going to be out there week one, and he don't need to necessarily catch up to speed. I don't care. I still feel that way still then. He'll practice when he practices, and he'll play when he plays. But it's getting to the point now that it is starting to become annoying. And neither side is wrong for feeling the way they feel. I think Jamar has saw what T. Higgins has been going through and realized that he knows his value is a little bit higher than T. Higgins, actually much higher than T. Higgins. And I think that he don't want to be having to deal with the whole situation of being tagged or wait until year 4. And he got to wait to then try to talk about extensions. Seeing what CeeDee Lamb is dealing with in Dallas, who has finished his 4th year, then try to go the distance of this to try to get a deal. And a deal still hasn't been done with CeeDee Lamb. Seeing that Micah Parsons, who finished year 3 going into year 4, doesn't have a deal. Justin Jefferson, his running mate, just signed his deal this offseason after not signing it and negotiating for last year. It's getting, I can tell it's getting to him that he wants this done and he don't want this thing hovering over his head. He want to be there with his guys. He's a team player, but he's such an explosive player. He deserves his value and he deserves his worth. But it is frustrating because these things tend to happen in the NFL and you don't want them to happen, but they just do. And that's where I'll say it's just annoying that it's happening. And it's gotten to that point with me that I'm tired of dealing with it already. And we really haven't even dealt with the worst of it. But I just want to just hurry up and get back to football and let these talks die down. And then let's just go win a championship. But I just pay the man. Whatever you got to do, just pay him. Just pay the man.
I will say this about Ocho Cinco. He is the original clickbait. He did it way before social media was popular.
Yes.
But when it comes to the Jamar Chase issue, right? I speculated early on it's a lot of money to put in escrow. Cash flow may be a situation because it was unprecedented after year 3 for a wide receiver to come looking for the bag because you got 2 more years of control there. I expected this to happen next year. It did not. So I took it with a little bit of a grain of salt, but now things have come out where the Bengals have said that cash flow is not the issue. So now I'm confused. I don't know if cash flow is not the issue. I'm not sure what the issue is. And I'm not going to worry about, because I think they gave him his rookie contract and it was very fair. So I'm not going to amateurize the do an amortization over the whole length of 6 years. I'm just going to tell you 4 years. I said it last week, 4 years, $150 million was my guess of what the Bengals would want to do. That gives him more than Justin Jefferson because I know it's petty, but I think it's important to him. That gives him 37.5 over those 4 years. I assumed that the issue was the 3 years versus 4 years. But now hearing that Jamar Chase's camp is saying, no, it's 4 years, 160 is the number. It's $10 million. It's $2.5 million a year. Top 5 wide receiver, heartbeat of the offense most of the time. Really tight with your quarterback, Joe Burrow. And now that puts both of them in control under the roster through 2029. Means we don't have to worry about this until the following decade. Pay that man his money.
He deserves it.
I'm over it. I'm done. Yeah. Well, with that said, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. So while you have a second here, if you listen to us on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your pod, make sure you like, subscribe. Hit that share button if you would. You know somebody out there is an NFL fan, Bengals fan. Shoot this out to them. If you're on YouTube, we'll be right back in a second. And you go ahead and hit that share button too. It's just 2 buttons over from that thumb. And you should be good. And we'll be right back here in a second. All right, welcome back to Runnin Thru the Jungle. You've caught up with me, Brandon Herriott, Justin Lacey, and Tim Lyons, as usual, weekly here at 8:05 p.m. Eastern Time, live on YouTube. So come on over, chat with us, ask us some questions. We'd love to hear from you guys. But we're going to keep it pushing here. We're going to go ahead get into some of this week's practices and whatnot. And I want to start it off with Burrow's Glovegate. So there's
you must have quit.
He's wearing a glove. He doesn't look comfortable. He's not throwing the ball downfield. Yada yada yada. You're hearing from other sources and players on the team. They're playing us deep. We ran underneath stuff. He's working on rolling to his right, throwing off balance. The glove is just for moisture. Yada yada yada. I've heard so much stuff. I don't know what to do. My head's spinning with it. Tim, what's your take on Glovegate 2024?
Well, the thing is winter's coming. We're going to start seeing rain. We're going to start seeing snow. We're going to start seeing all that stuff. Winter's coming, or not winter, fall's coming. I'm sorry. I just skipped summer and just went to winter. My bad. But
sometimes we do that over here too.
Fall's coming. So I believe Joe's maybe, and they said that he's always done this. It's not like something that's not normal. They see Joe with a glove, gloves on his hand on the sidelines and stuff like that. Just calm down, people. Maybe he's just breaking in that glove, like I just said. If the glove don't fit and you must have quit, maybe Joe's just trying to get that glove to, get broken in, and when he has to use it, to be prepared to, use it during a game. Just calm down. Calm down.
Justin, did you read anything else into that?
Absolutely not, because it's something that is unimportant and doesn't need to be harped on any more than it already has. And the term Glovegate, I was the one that kind of created that, just to kind of give listeners a little peek inside. I've did that since the video first resurfaced on Twitter. And I was like, the comment section is going to be crazy under that particular post. And I just thought, now they're going to probably give the term Glovegate. And it's all because when he suffered the wrist injury, he had a brace on his right wrist before the Baltimore game, and that's what started the whole investigation. I was waiting for Mike Florio to create an article or on Pro Football Talk or something, and then just start dousing up, what is the glove? What is the glove? See, the Bengals just ruined Joe Burrow. I was waiting for the Twitter doctor that said he would never grow his bones back the same in his wrist. I was waiting for him to try to say something about it, but neither one of them showed, because I think that at this point, you just need to stop speculating and just let him play football. Could have been a minor thing that he wanted to try to control some do ligament control with his finger, hand, or thumb. Maybe, but that's his business. Let him do what he do. I'm not thinking about it in that context at all. As what is also stated, just like Tim mentioned, I will reiterate the same thing as far as he's apparently been preparing himself for these kind of things already. And if you haven't followed Burrow throughout this whole offseason, when he's talked about having 10 weeks ahead of everybody else to train, this is probably one of his creative ways to just stay ahead of the game in case he needs to use glove in a live game, like when it's raining and it's pouring and he wants to be able to grip the ball and throw it in cold or wet weather. It's simple, Well, again, I'm not reading too much into this. This has been harped on way too much, and I hope that this is just be a quick little topic and we can move on to some other fun stuff.
Yeah, most of it's been him wearing it in between plays, not even wearing it for plays. It's a weird thing, and there has been, it's he's done it in the past and so on and so forth. Now, I know, researching some of the stuff about his surgery, it's very unusual for a quarterback. It's the first quarterback that's ever tried to come back from it. Normally, when we see it, it's linebackers, linemen. AJ Hawk had this and talked about it and about how he didn't regain flexibility. So I had some concerns coming out. And then I saw him throwing the ball. Mm-hmm. And most of my concerns started going away. And then I started seeing how this year it was all about being ready for the season. It's all about being ready, where he did get shut down for a couple of days early in camp. And there's a couple of other, he's taking it easy when he needs to. So I feel like if there's anything serious, he wouldn't be out there throwing the ball. If there's anything that other than, loosening things up maybe and getting some discomfort out, I don't think it's anything that we need to really worry about. But this and the Jamar Chase not signing a deal yet. That's the reason why I put the RELAX with question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark, because I don't know if I can do it right yet. I think I'm getting a little wound up. I think we need to get Jamar Chase signed, and then I can be business as usual. So that's where I'm at with Burrow Gate. So other than the Burrow Gate, Tim, what other takeaways you got from Colts practices?
So my biggest takeaway from the Colts practices is, does Anthony Richardson, does he throw the ball? Is that all he does is run? Like, literally, that's like the only thing the defense is talking about.
Hey, you're
like,
Mr. Run the damn ball.
But he's a quarterback.
This is your guy.
He's a dang quarterback. Like,
he's not.
If you're gonna play quarterback, you gotta throw the ball. You can't be running the damn ball.
Run the damn ball, Tim. Which way do you want it?
Just like the Cincinnati Bengals defense was heckling him and giving him a hard time in practice. Do you run the ball, or excuse me, do you pass the ball, or all you do is run? Are you a quarterback or are you a running back? Are you going to throw to somebody, or are you going to just run the ball?
I mean, he's got to be he's a dual threat quarterback. I didn't really watch much of his tape in Florida, and then I didn't really watch the first 4 games that he played. Really, I'm gonna be honest. I heard about him, and I've heard his highlight reel plays that he can make, potentially like what we're hearing from Caleb Williams, but not so much anything else that I paid attention to. The Colts were not an inspiring team to watch in my eyes, So, but it's good to know that the Bengals defense, they playing with that edge, especially on defense, because that's what we need, man. Again, as I reiterate from plenty of other times on this show, 1-5 in the AFC North is not going to cut it. You got to come with some heavy hitting attitude, because you got to be ready to go into street fights with the Baltimores, the Clevelands, and the Pittsburghs of the world. And, sometimes to get you ramped up and ready for a long season, stuff like that, you got to talk your stuff, man. Talk that stuff in practice like you should be doing. So I'm with him.
Yeah. Listen, Anthony Richardson's got a lot to prove to me. I know there were some flashes, when he first started, but I mean, he completed 54% of his passes in college.
Right.
That's not great. It's not great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'd like to see a little more. They should be, in my mind, working on him and coaching him. No matter what you do here, don't run. We know that your instinct's going to be take off running. We know that you're capable of doing that. Mm-hmm. Let's work on, if you can't run, what do you do? Do you check down? Do you throw it away? Do you do those things? Just to get him in that habit of doing those things, I think it would be beneficial for the guy. As far as the Bengals defense talking trash, I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. I think we didn't have that swagger last year that we had the year before. In a couple of years, we need that back, and we need to play with a little more moxie. So I'm happy to hear about that.
Amen.
All right, so Justin, what'd you have as far as Colts takeaways, Colts practice takeaways?
For me, I'm going to highlight one player, and that's Dax Hill. And my overall takeaway is that he is, to me, officially solidified that cornerback 2 spot over DJ Turner, and he should be the inline starter this upcoming season. You spent the first round pick on him, so the move from safety to corner, outside corner, looks like it's going to work out, and it feels like that he's grown into a natural feeling about it. He's played great during these joint practice sessions with the Colts. He also didn't do as bad against the practice against the Bears, even though the offense struggled that day and everybody was just struggling for the most part on both teams. But Dax Hill, it feels like that he's naturally growing in this new position, and he's welcome and embraced the change. And it's going to bode well for him long term, because finding a lockdown corner, that's a more of a premium position in the NFL. And why not do that? So that's my big takeaway, my big winner for the joint practice with the Colts is Dax Hill, man. He's got it. He's got the number CB2 cornerback spot on lock, and he is the starter. That's what I like to see.
I agree with you, and I think we've got good depth across the whole defensive backfield right now. Mm-hmm. Jordan Battle, Von Bell, Geno Stone, Dejon Anthony looks pretty good back there. Tyson Anderson coming back. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we have good depth at safety, so it gives you the flexibility to move Dak back to corner because Dak came out of college as corner.
Right.
They moved him
And
back over to safety.
and then put him in a slot corner too. So he was literally the Swiss Army knife on that Michigan secondary. But one more point, because you just brought it up regarding DJ Turner and Jordan Battle. Last year, we liked those guys in certain spots. They had showed some flashes, but were they truly ready to ascend to a starting level position? We wanted Jordan Battle to be a starting safety because
a little more trial by fire.
Yes, because we did not like what's his name that we picked up from the Rams, Nick Scott. He was
Nick Scott.
Terrible, man, garbage.
Yeah.
So that's why we wanted to rush him in. It was like a battlefield promotion, if people understand restaurant terms. And DJ Turner was kind of the same way when we feel like that, okay, when one guy goes down, he's kind of have to be up. And he wasn't truly ready to ascend naturally into that CB2 position opposite of Cam Taylor-Britt. So now that it feels like that Dax Hill is working out well at corner, you got your corners solidified and the depth behind them feels good too. And that's even with the safeties. Geno Stone and Von Bell are your two safeties. And that should be the case. And I was always worried because when somebody has an intercepting, like a season like what Geno Stone had with Baltimore last year, you wonder if that's going to translate on a year-to-year basis of leading the team in picks. We know that that's not. But based off of his play in training camp so far, I tend to think and believe that, man, this is actually going well. I mean, he's probably going to give up big plays here and there, but he understands what he's understanding so far, and it feels like that he's communicating really well with Von Bell back there, and that makes you feel better about the depth within the safety room, like you said, with Dijon Anthony and Jordan Battle to come in and take center, like to come in as next man up if something were to happen with them. So yeah, I'm all for it.
I think Dax is still playing a little bit out of place. I think his natural position on the field is Mike Hilton's replacement,
the slot corner, and that very well could be the case next year when Mike Hilton's contract is up. He can move in the slot, and if at that time DJ Turner is ascended to a CB2 level on the outside, then the positions just fill themselves at that point.
And I think you're going to look. I think we're going to look even better with Newton having another year to develop. He would give us a little more depth, I think. And I would be surprised if there wasn't another draft choice in that defensive backfield again next year.
Yeah,
I think that's going to have to be one of those things that you continually do. They're going to have, Cam Taylor-Britt contract is going to be an interesting one too.
That's going to be another one. So, that's going to be the new T. Higgins.
So and it's going to continue to happen when you have two guys getting, $95 million between two guys. Remember 2 years ago, we were talking about how three guys might make $100 million and the salary caps balloon up. And the next thing you know, we got two guys making 95.
Yeah.
Wild. My last takeaway was something that, I've been wanting to see, from the Colts practice is I saw something I've been looking for all year. I saw some one-handed catches. I saw some feeding the ball to Mike Gesicki. And I really, really think he could be a big difference maker for us this year if he does what we think he can do. Both playing that tight end and then also flexing out into that slot receiver position as a big slot on third down. I could see Tanner Hudson inline tight end. I could see Gesicki out flanking him. So that's an interesting. Gives us a lot of flexibility. We got more flexibility now with guys that can rotate in and out of the slot as well. So I like Gesicki, and I like seeing him getting energized and making some catches.
Yeah, for sure. He's gaining that trust with Burrow really nicely. So I've been enjoying watching it as well.
Yeah,
and it is a little learning curve. I mean, he's caught passes from 4 different quarterbacks in 3 years or whatever. I mean,
yeah,
it takes a little bit. So, last but not least, before we get going, I think this is something I want to do every year. I won't give out a glass slipper award, man. Who's our training camp Cinderella? Somebody that wasn't on the radar has come into training camp. I'm doing it a little early because we know no one, none of the starters are playing, and probably should wait until after next week. But I'm gonna be hyped up for the regular season, so we're gonna start it this week. Tim, who do you have for your training camp Cinderella? And I think there's a good chance that you're going to get some agreements here.
Mm-hmm.
I've been mentioning him. I mentioned him last Sunday when Brandon and I did our recap. I'm going to mention him again, and I'm going to mention him as our glass slipper Cinderella, our Cinderella guy, Jong Meta. Jong Meta is proven. I believe he's proven to be on that 53-man roster. There's no doubt.
Let's add context. His full name is Muma Jong Meta.
Yeah, well, I'm just calling him Jong Meta because that's what his last name is, and that's how I'm going to refer to him as. Because I'll screw up.
You better. It's Muma, just Ma. Even though it's spelled like Mama.
Muma Jong Meta.
There you go.
Our Cinderella is my. Well, I know he's my glass slipper. He had 10 total tackles against the Bucks, and then he had 7 or 8 tackles against the Bears, and I'm sure he'll have probably 7 to 10 tackles against the Colts this tomorrow. Excuse me. Whoa, wow, tomorrow's Thursday, isn't it? Yep, tomorrow against the Colts. Yeah. My like I said, and I'm going to keep saying it. Jong Meta.
Justin?
All right. I'm not in the interest of not being the same. Like it was, I'm going with them too. But Muma Jong Meta is the exact same. Was going to be the exact same thing. I think that he's the number one person. He's been very exciting. I've been wanting to see something different with the linebacking core. I was at first wanting to go the free agency route of adding to that room, like a Devin White for me personally, to add along with Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt. But Muma Jong Meta just adds a certain dynamic. Like he's like a thumper that knows how to operate in cover space, and you can just grow and develop that from there. So that's a great pick. He's obviously the number one training camp Cinderella that nobody saw coming, but we liked. But in the interest of not being the exact same, I'm actually going to go with Matt Lee, the center that we just drafted out of Miami, 7th round pick. And I know that plenty of fans have talked him up a little bit when we drafted him, but to be fair, he was a 7th round pick, and we hype up every draft pick every year. So, in the way how the Bengals developed their track record of not developing linemen over the years, I succumb to the belief that the Bengals just are not going to get it right when they draft offensive linemen late in rounds. But it seems like they kind of found it hidden gem with this kid. And I'm so happy to say this because one of the very first things that I said when you and I was doing a show a couple weeks back of what my observation of what I wanted to see as we're entering preseason and as training camp, right? Like preseason in general, not just the first game against the Bucks. One of the things that I stated was I want to evaluate the interior depth of the O-line because the 2021 O-line draft class that featured Jackson Carman, Trey Hill, and Deontay Smith, I'm done with all of them. Maybe with the exception of Deontay Smith, but he got hurt. He's out for the year, whatever. I'm done with that whole that trio. Done. Get them off my roster. Mainly Jackson Carman and now Trey Hill after what I saw this past Saturday. But Matt Lee has solidified himself as he is the future at center behind Ted Karras. He is the backup. He is a guy that you feel somewhat comfortable in and starting to feel confident in that even when he makes mistakes, he can get better. We never felt that way about Trey Hill. In the way how the Bengals game plan their O-line with his backups and starters sitting on the bench and how they were able to move certain pieces to highlight and illustrate that just told me what I needed to know about Matt Lee. He's going to work at center eventually at some point. So that's my training camp Cinderella if I had to be different from Muma Jong Meta.
Yeah, the glass slipper is going to go to Muma Jong Meta. I don't see how you could give it to somebody else. Muma. John Meta.
Meta.
John Meta.
All right.
It's not that hard. But anyway, that's who I give the Cinderella to. But if you wanted a silver medalist, what would a wooden shoe award maybe for silver? for second place, maybe the Wooden Shoe Award. I'm going to go with, and this is an unusual one, but I had it written down here before your take from Colts practice, Justin. Dax Hill. Dax Hill, I think a lot of people were down on him and moving back to corner and whatnot. And I think he's done an excellent job. Actually, I'm a Michigan fan. I'm a Michigan man. And I am pandering here. Dax, if you ever want to come out, I'll tag you in this. I promise. I'll send a short to you directly. If you ever want to come on the show, run it through the jungle and chop it up with us, come on over. Love to have you. If you have a bye week and you want to go to a Michigan game, hit me up. I got season tickets. We tailgate right there on the golf course across from the field. You can come over and hang out with us. Braylon Edwards comes over every once in a while, hangs out. We've got some family members of players that come over, so you'll be in good places. Don't come for the Texas game though, because Mod and G are coming for that. This is a no-fly zone. But yeah, I think Dax Hill's done a great job, better than I thought he was going to, and been very impressed. So I'm gonna say Wooden Shoe Award.
Yeah.
Runner up. Dax
Yeah,
Hill.
you and I gave runner-ups with the interest of wanting to think outside the box, but overall, as I already listed, like if you're watching on YouTube, I updated the ticker.
Yeah,
Muma Jongmeta is the training camp Cinderella, and he
with
better
a
make
bullet.
the team.
With a bullet.
Man, and the stop that he had, that tackle for loss on that second and short, it was beautiful, man. It's like, this is what I wanted out of my linebackers, man. Like, I needed to see this more. So
he's making the read, he's trusting the reads, and he's making the plays.
Yeah, I'm just excited for the kid, man, and he better make this team. I'm not talking practice squad, because if he hits the practice squad, oh boy, somebody gonna pluck him and put him on their 53. That's just, I just know that's going to happen. So yeah.
Tim, any closing comments before we say goodnight to the people?
I'm just going to give the same old one, but I'm going to add something to it. Thank you, everybody, for liking and subscribing. Make sure you share with the family, share with friends. We appreciate your support. Your continued support. We're out here growing this thing, and I remember last year I wasn't even on Running Through the Jungle, and then Brandon was like, "You want to come on and be a guest?" And next, I'm no longer just a guest. I'm a co-host. I want to thank you two for welcoming me onto Running Through the Jungle. I really appreciate you guys. But my one last thing I want to say is there was a National League MVP in 2010 who retired today, Joey Votto. I'm not a Cincinnati Reds fan, but I'm a baseball fan, and I've watched Joey Votto play baseball for the Cincinnati Reds for a long, long time. Happy retirement. We enjoyed your 17 years of baseball and excitement that you gave us, and I hope you enjoy your retirement to 110%.
Okay.
Good call.
Yeah, I was literally about to put that on the screen to display as my breaking news as it was happening during the live stream, because that was going to be my closer reaction, Tim. That was
not the breaking news we wanted.
It was not the breaking news. We originally planned for this breaking news for in case Jamar Chase would have signed his deal while we're live, just to give the listeners any context. When I saw that this happened, I just adjusted it and then stated it from there. But yeah, no, man, this one hurts. I mean, I'm happy for him because he obviously, he played in the league for a long time, but dang, man, it sucks, man. It just sucks because, I'm just so used to Joey Votto being just a member of the Cincinnati Reds. And this season, as he was playing with the Blue Jays, I get he's from Canada originally, so I guess it makes sense. If he was going to play elsewhere, it would have been there. But we know it just wasn't the same. We know he's a true Cincinnati Red at heart. He bleeds literally red. And he's going to go. He should be in the MLB Hall of Fame at some point when his number is called. He's the first Reds jersey that I actually purchased. So, and I still have it. Everybody else got like the Johnny Benches, the Ken Griffey's, and all that. I didn't own any Reds jerseys growing up, but I first got one, and I knew that I wanted to be Joey Votto because he was a guy that was consistent and stuck around like Derek Jeter with the Yankees. The longevity was always something that matters to me. So salute to you, Joey Votto, man. Happy retirement. Enjoy it.
All right. I follow up that wonderful news and good outros for Joey Votto with I've normally been riding with Cincinnati Bengals ownership, front office, especially the last few years. I love the direction everything's gone in. I totally understand spending your money wisely and all those kind of things. I get how you're trying to build for the long-term success of the team. Jamar Chase is part of that long-term success. Pay him his money. I don't want to come back here next week and talk about this again. I want to come back here next week and be like, that's what I want to do. So let's get that done. And again, listen, last preseason game, no one's playing. I doubt we're going to do a Roaring Reaction show for it on Thursday night. So you're probably just going to catch us again here next week. I'll mention some Bengals stuff, I'm sure, on the Homies Overtime for you guys to catch me on Fridays. But definitely be back here next week getting ready for the regular season. I can't wait.
Same.
Week 0, college football this week. I got Florida State covering the 10-point spread against Georgia Tech. I don't trust Georgia Tech to run the ball effectively against them. So for that reason, I think they're going to cover. I think they'll win by 17. That's my 2 cents on that. And if you watched Pay Dirt before this, you already knew that. So check out Pay Dirt every week as well. We got some good stuff coming on here. We should see our boy Cut to the Chase out a little bit more coming up with the season. So get us next week, Wednesday night, 8:05 Eastern time, live on YouTube or anywhere you get to your podcast on your Thursday morning drive time or anytime after that. And we will catch you next week as we are running through the jungle.